Now looking at fire risk for these United States, this will be it for the United States. Besides for the thunderstorm outlook, we do have an elevated risk for southern South Dakota and north central Nebraska for today, and then an elevated chance as well for tomorrow, which would be October 11th or Tuesday, and that would be for much of Nebraska and parts of Wyoming, Colorado, and Kansas as well. Now looking at the thunderstorm outlook, we do have a large thunderstorm risk for the southwest, and then that spreads through, really increases in size, or not increases in size, but spreads further to the east. So we get further into time going into Tuesday. Alright, now looking at the tropics, we do have for the Atlantic a 10% area of interest. I don't think this will be invested, but if it hires a chance, which I doubt it will do too much of, it may do a little bit of, it will stay at a low chance of forming. Looking at the Eastern Pacific, we do have Tropical Depression Julia. According to the NHC, it is a tropical depression as of now, but it has a reformation chance in south of Mexico, going towards south of Baja California on the day 5 range, and it currently has a 30% chance of reforming in the next 5 days, but 0% in the next 48 hours as it weakens further and it enters the waters. Currently it's near Guatemala and El Salvador, but as it moves into the water, it will try and redevelop. We will have to see if it will do so. Alright, now taking a look at the sea surface temperature anomalies worldwide, you can see the scale at the bottom of your screen. You see it's very above average in the subtropical regions of the western and east and central Pacific, going into just off the coast of Japan to its east, and going into south of Kamchatka and the Aleutian Islands of Alaska. It is also quite warm in the tropical regions of the western Pacific, almost entirely above average there. The Eastern Pacific is generally above average, but there's some cooler pockets, likely with just some systems bringing upwelling. In the North Atlantic, it is dominantly above average, what I mean by that is mostly above average, especially in the subtropical regions. But we do see potential upwelling from past systems in some areas, bringing it to near normal conditions. In the Bay of Bengal, we do see it's warmer, and what I mean by that is just to the east of India. In that area is the Bay of Bengal, and it's above average there, mostly. So we, as we get closer to their season, we could be seeing that. And then in the Southwest Indian Ocean, we do see pockets of cooler and warmer waters in areas. So generally, it is not leaning towards one side. As you get closer towards Madagascar, it is cooler waters there for the below average anomalies. With the actual sea surface temperatures for the North Atlantic in the western part of the basin, again, you can see the scale on the bottom. It is getting cooler as time goes on towards the northern part of the basin, but still pretty warm in the tropics, so don't let your guard down. We could still be seeing some systems. Just because we're past peak season in the basin doesn't mean that no systems will form. There's almost a definite no. We will almost very likely see more systems to come. So the season is not over. Don't let your guard down. But yeah, again, it is still very warm in the tropical Atlantic. Now looking at ocean, I Actually, first we'll look at the coastal regions of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. We do see it is cooled significantly in the coastal regions, especially as you get into the Mid-Atlantic regions. Quite cool now. You could even see those cooler waters stretching all the way down from the coast of North Carolina into the coast of South Carolina and Georgia, as well as the northern portion of the Florida coast. So this Gulf Stream is really getting cooler, with those warmer waters retreating to the south and again getting cooler as we get further into fall. Oceanic content is really dropped off in the subtropical Atlantic, but is still quite significant in the southern MDR. But most of that peak oceanic content is toward the equatorial regions where no systems form. But a lot of that oceanic content in the Caribbean is still very high, so we'll be having to watch with a lot of that. But almost the entirety of the western part of the basin and the tropics has elevated oceanic content values. So it's not like there is nothing there. There is still quite a bit of ocean heat content there. Some of this has probably strengthened since the last time we looked at this. But a lot of the ocean heat content values, especially in the north, have dropped off, with some of the oceanic content values in the south remaining strong and potentially even strengthening in the southern portions. But mostly the oceanic content has lowered since our past look at this. Looking at the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, we do see is now marked 98W and 97W, which are both INVES. 98W would have a likely chance, medium chance, which is a likely development, but not expected to occur beyond 24 hours. 97W has an unlikely chance within the next 24 hours, which is a low chance, but of course we'll still be watching for that. And the tropical cyclone 03S, which is named Balita, is really beginning to die off. Alright, now looking at the final part of our video, looking at Julia. Of course, it's deteriorated since yesterday, in the past few days, and its low pressure center could reform into a new system as time goes on. Looking at the rest of these storms active, Julia has 35 knots as of now, which makes it technically a tropical storm, but the NHC has it as a tropical depression, as we saw earlier. Most of the models see the system weakening, or some models show it re-strengthening into a tropical storm after some time, after a few days, which it reforming into a new system in the eastern Pacific. Looking at Balita, which actually now shows remnants rather than a tropical storm, which I agree with. Its convection has really died off. Its remnants will not really impact land as it is out to sea. And then 98W, it will move on shore into the Philippines soon, impacting potentially the southern portion of Luzon. And according to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, it had a medium chance of forming, likely in the next 24 hours. And then INVES 97W, we see it moving to the north, then north west, eventually transitioning to due west before it will move closer towards Taiwan. We'll have to see if it will stall there and then move continuously towards the west further, or if it will move to the northeast or north. Time will only tell for that, and as it looks like it might be a little too far to tell exactly right now. A lot of these models show it moving to the north east as it after it moves towards Taiwan, but not making it there entirely. So some models are leaning towards a track towards the northeast after going towards Taiwan. Global models just show it moving towards Taiwan. The GFS actually brings it towards Taiwan, and another model brings it just to the south of Taiwan. Looking back at 98W, we do have, again, the same two global models bringing it towards Luzon. And we saw this before, and the models are all over the place, but it does show it moving towards the northern Philippine Islands soon. Alright, now looking at the GFS model for the North Atlantic, we do see just the potential system in the southern Gulf of Mexico, and then just some tropical systems potential after the 5-day range, getting into the longer range, so I wouldn't put any confidence in that, but we do see the potential for some systems there. In the Eastern Pacific, we do see Julia's energy tries to reform and then impact Mexico, but it does not look to be very strong as of now. Only time will tell with that again. But the GFS also spins up another system behind it. I would not put too much confidence in this as well, but we will be having to watch that. In the Western Pacific, to end off our video, we have 98W forming on the GFS and then impacting the Philippines and Vietnam, actually. And then 97W forming and going to impact Taiwan and the Philippines. Actually, is a strong system, and the GFS likes to make very strong systems out of almost anything. So this will probably not be a very strong system, but only time will tell again if this will become anything of significance stronger than a tropical storm.